Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. This video includes paid promotion. All right, I gotta ask the XRP community something. I take this for granted. I'm here for the money. I know some people are here for the technology. Which one are you? Put it down in the comment section. But I think my ray of sunshine nails the hammer on the head. There are a lot of pretentious know-it-all a-holes in the XRP community. The nerds that tell you that the tech is more important than the price. But let's be real, guys. Most of us are here for one reason and one reason only: to make money. To pretend otherwise proves that you are not as smart as you think you are. I tend to agree. We got into crypto for this reason, right? We saw Bitcoin price rally. Depending on what cycle you were in, you probably saw it rally hundreds, if not thousands of percentage points. Same with XRP. XRP has delivered extraordinary gains. Even in the last bull cycle, we did see XRP pump about 550% in about a month and a half, 2 months, before it came back down and was essentially just trading in this sideways channel, not really getting past those all-time highs. I mean, getting slightly past them, but this is why we come here, right? This is where we come. This is why we're here. At least for me, this is why I'm here, and that's why I started the Patreon. I'm just going to throw that link up on the screen. Whether it was 2021, this one wasn't as exciting, or 2024 when we hit that November, or 2017. I came into the market in here. It was around, I want to say it was around somewhere in here. It was an XRP was about 74 cents back in 2017. I loaded up on XRP and I never looked back, and that's my story. But you guys tell me why you are here. Maybe it's a combination of the tech and the money. We've got fear and greed at 31. Within the last 24 hours, we've seen a bit of a pullback here in the crypto space. So we are seeing some red on the board, but also some green on the board. Nothing really to write home about for crypto prices. It's been quite quiet, and the summer generally does this. We generally do see a more quiet market in the summer. We haven't seen any kind of real meaningful price explosions. If anything, we've seen cryptocurrencies come back down and base into support levels. Currently, one XRP is going for about $1.09. We've got one Bitcoin doing a little better, I guess, but at the end of the day, we still need to see a significant rally from where it is today, 63,800, in order to confirm a bull market. We're not there yet. Guys, I'm just going to interrupt this video for a second. Here's a word from one of today's video sponsors. Guys, let's be honest, the crypto market has been moving sideways for a while now. A lot of people are just sitting on their coins waiting for that next big move. But while you're waiting, your crypto is just sitting idle in your wallet doing absolutely nothing. That's why I'm going to mention it again, the long-standing partnership I have with FortisX. Instead of letting your assets sit idle, you can put supported cryptocurrencies into FortisX liquidity pools and earn daily rewards while still keeping the flexibility to withdraw them anytime you want. And I keep working with these guys because they keep delivering. The team is public. They've successfully completed Cyberscope team verification, so that's KYC. They've passed independent security audits, and the platform has been building consistently for years. They're focused on long-term growth, transparency, and security rather than hype. In a market like this, it makes far more sense to have your crypto working for you instead of letting it sit idle. I've worked with FortisX for a long time, and if you're planning to hold your crypto anyway, I genuinely think it's one of the smartest ways to put those assets to work. Remember, guys, investing is inherently risky. Always diversify your investments. This is not financial advice. Note this as well, guys. Over the last few weeks, we've actually been seeing exponential growth on the XRP ledger, but only 25,350 active wallets on the XRPL yesterday. That is the second lowest all year. And new wallets are down just over 2,100 wallets. So if you take a look here, guys, these are the prices, these are the daily active wallet addresses are in orange here. Network growth is in purple, and we have the price of XRP, of course, that is in green. That is the bars that you see there, and we just dropped off a cliff down in here. So you guys can see activity does go up and down, and it does, it moves with the pattern of the market. It is also moving with how much the XRP ledger is scaling, and I have a feeling that in the next few months, we're going to see that number continuously move up. Not because the market's going to move up, and I have a feeling the market will move up in the next few months based on four-year cycle theory, but Cryptos that do solve real world problems are going to move up as well, just because we've already heard the news. We are going to start to see those cryptocurrencies start to scale. In terms of investing though, guys, I think this is a great opportunity to start to purchase, whether it's stocks or cryptocurrencies. I mean, one big signal here is this: Berkshire Hathaway cash reserves have hit a new all-time high. Berkshire Hathaway is holding $397 billion in cash. And if this isn't a sign, I don't know what is. So they have seen their quarterly cash reserves rise to $397 billion, giving the company one of the largest liquidity positions in the market. So they are the most liquid company in the market. According to the market commentator Bar Chart, Berkshire Hathaway's cash pile is large enough to theoretically acquire as many as 474 companies currently included in the S&P 500. Moreover, this strong liquidity position reportedly follows the company's portfolio changes in quarter one, when it exited more than 15 stock holdings while adding new positions in Alphabet, Delta Airlines, and Macy's. Despite the record cash balance, Berkshire Hathaway shares have lagged the broader AI-driven market rally. On Friday, the stock traded, so Berkshire Hathaway stock traded near $493.29, extending its weekly decline to nearly 3%. So in terms of their stocks going down a little bit, but guys, holding that much cash is a signal, again, that markets are just getting ready for markets to probably plummet even further and scoop up some really good deals. That is my opinion. That is my analysis of that. If we take a look at the S&P, and today is Sunday, by the way, Sunday, July the 12th. If you guys are watching this video on the day that I'm releasing it, we are seeing a bit of a toppy pattern here for the S&P 500. So didn't get up past those tops, and if we start to see something like this, if we break below this resistance in here, or support rather in here, I think it's all over, and I'm gonna start to believe that we're gonna see lower lows for crypto too if that happens. So, Berkshire Hathaway keeping their money on the side. Okay, even if we're not seeing the traction, the activity on the XRP ledger at this particular moment, at least we are seeing that developers are continuing to build on the XRP ledger. I wanted to bring your attention to this. Bank XRP posting this. The XRPL is adding confidential transfers. So this is balances plus transfer amounts in RWA, so real-world assets, hidden from validators and the public, but fully compliant with a selective disclosure key for regulators and auditors. Institutions get private collateral, private settlement, and zero-size signaling. This is the privacy layer TradFi actually needs. So with regards to this, guys, they are introducing confidential transfers, a feature designed to improve transaction privacy while maintaining regulatory compliance. And this is what all the big players want. And because blockchain transactions are transparent, there's that little problem that they need to solve, which is how can we get how can we trust this technology? Because we still do need some privacy here, and the whole concept of blockchain is transparent transfers, transparent transactions, so that everybody can see what's going on. The proposed functionality would allow balances and transfer amounts for issued assets, including real-world tokenized assets, to remain hidden from validators and the public while still enabling authorized disclosures when required. So that's good. The feature is aimed primarily at institutional users, of course, because it's all the institutions that care about this, that require greater confidentiality when managing digital assets. As blockchain adoption expands across banks, asset managers, and payment providers, privacy has become one of the industry's biggest challenges, particularly for organizations handling large financial transactions on public blockchains. So this is where we're at. Unlike traditional public blockchain transactions where balances and transfer amounts are visible to anyone, confidential transfers would obscure sensitive financial information while preserving the security and integrity of the XRP ledger. So that is the aim, to enable private collateral management, confidential settlement between counterparties, and the ability to hold significant market positions without signaling transaction size to competitors or market participants. Because, guys, this is a game. Let's face it. This is a game between financial competitors. If you're a big bank and you're in competition with another big bank, JP Morgan versus, Morgan Stanley, whoever, and you're offering a similar product, you are vying for that same client. So you want to make sure that your business is private and secure. You don't want your competition to be able to see what you're doing online. There you go. So here it is. And confidential transfers, I guess that is probably the last piece, the secret sauce, maybe, as some would say, the last piece that needs to be put in place before we do see real world scaling of XRP and other digital assets. So wanted to thank Bank XRP, wanted to thank Watcher Guru, Zafe Crypto, and Ray here for posting those. Guys, Brad Garlinghouse has also come out finally revealing how close Ripple was to actually closing down shop after the SEC decided to sue Ripple. I don't know if you guys saw this. Zafe Crypto did post this video clip. We almost decided to shut down the company when the SEC sued us. Ripple would distribute XRP to shareholders and be gone. Him and Chris Larson chose to fight instead, and thank goodness they did. Listen to this.
I'll give the Ripple answer. I mean, we almost decided to shut down the company when the SEC sued us. We were like, look, the government has infinite power and resources, and again, they were, so Chris Larson, who's the chairman of the company and the co-founder, and he and I have had a great partnership for a lot of years. And both of us were like, do we want to, what's the right answer here? And, we could have shut it down and distributed, the company owns a lot of XRP. You just distribute the XRP to shareholders on a pro rata basis. End of story. Okay, you guys think these are securities. Ripple doesn't own it anymore. Ripple's gone. Now, hundreds of people would have lost their jobs. I think that was a bad outcome, but in some ways it was the easier outcome. Yeah. And that was a difficult decision, and obviously I'm glad in retrospect, but that was not obvious at the time.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine if that were the case? Who was here in December of 2020 and remembers this time? I mean, it was a dark, dark time for XRP holders. We were approaching, we were already 1 year into the beer flu, I remember, and, the sentiment was just down already. And, it was just a bad time in general. Bank XRP remembers December 2020 like it was yesterday. The SEC sues Ripple. Exchanges started delisting XRP overnight. Remember that too? Coinbase was one of the first ones to start delisting XRP. I remember it was like the second week in January. XRP is done. It's over. Sell before it goes to zero. Ripple is finished. The SEC just killed it. For almost 2 years, that was the narrative. XRP trading on the shadows of offshore exchanges while everyone else moved on. Fast forward to now. The case is resolved. We got Ripple's U.S. business is fully back. Licenses are secured across multiple jurisdictions. Institutional partnerships are stacking up globally. Banks are actually building on the technology, not just talking about it. The same dead project that people wrote off in 2020 is now sitting at the center of institutional adoption. Bear markets and lawsuits don't kill real conviction. They just test who actually understood the thesis in the first place. I agree completely with that sentiment. Even David Schwartz did comment on this. With regards to what happened at that time, they, meaning Brad and Chris, they got advice from lawyers that the company was done unsavable and that they should cut a deal to save themselves. I think the SEC named Brad and Chris personally because that's the expected response to such a suit. Unknown DLT did comment on that. Hi, David. Thanks for your reply. Out of respect for you, Brad, and Ripple, I won't say anything else on the matter. Moon Lambo also commenting, though, what was the rationale of these lawyers? Unsavable is a pretty extreme perspective for them to have. Giving up without a fight was quite an interesting idea. Glad that didn't happen. I'm sure we are all probably very glad that didn't happen. Cowboy.crypto saying, was it Simpson, Thatcher, Sullivan, Cromwell, or McKinsey that advised this? Yeah, exactly. ETHgate, anyone? Matrix Breaker saying, David, was the central banking cartel behind the destruction of the crypto industry because they knew it would destroy their monopoly? I mean, it could be anything. David Schwartz here, though, responding, I don't have good evidence of this, but I think it's more likely that competing crypto projects had more to do with it. I'm not really sure why I think that, so feel free to disagree. Maybe it was Ethereum. I mean, if you guys were following the ETHgate situation, you probably know all about that. But you know what? We're glad, right? We're glad it didn't happen. We're glad we kept hodling our XRP. I'm certainly glad. John Deaton here saying this. Okay, David is 100% correct. He's right on the money here. Previous to the Ripple lawsuit by the SEC, Jay Clayton was interviewed by Joseph Grunfest. Okay, Jay Clayton stated that sometimes it's smart to sue the individual executives of a company, even in non-fraud enforcement actions. Now, for those of you guys who do not remember, Jay Clayton was the acting SEC commissioner before Gary Gensler came in, and he was the one on his last day in office. He was the one to launch the suit against Ripple and XRP. Grunfest stated that doing so is risky because it increases the burden of proof on the government. Clayton literally stated that it's worth the risk because it gives the government settlement leverage over the company. So very sneaky and an intimidation tactic, as John Deaton does point out here. Intimidate and scare the individual executives, and it will likely force a quicker settlement. I realize Brad and Chris are wealthy individuals, but when the full weight of the force of the US government comes after you, I don't care who you are, it can be intimidating. And that's why Clayton did it. I have no doubt that it wasn't a great experience for Garlinghouse or Larson to sit down and inform their kids that the US government is suing daddy. As a dad myself, I can only imagine. Don't forget, despite the government not alleging fraud in the Ripple case, the prosecutors wrote the complaint in a fraud-like manner to cause even more pressure and almost to control the narrative and to confuse matters a little bit too. It's a bit deceiving to do it that way. Let's also remember in those early stages of the case, the ethically challenged prosecutor attempted to subpoena every credit card and bank statement of Brad Garlinghouse, Chris Larson, including their wives and family members, despite Ripple, Brad, and Chris having already turned over every XRP transaction ever made. The judge, rightfully so, shut that intimidation tactic down. Also, don't forget that these were the same ethically challenged SEC lawyers who an appellate court described as arbitrary and capricious, as well as sanctioned SEC lawyers in the debt box case for perpetuating a fraud upon the court. It was the same ethically challenged SEC enforcement lawyers who lied, claimed I threatened to beat up SEC staff, and asked the court to bar me from participating as amicus counsel on behalf of 75,000 XRP holders. And we still got to thank John Deaton for that. Did a great job. Who they also attacked. Great thing, Larson and Garlinghouse gave the SEC the middle finger and didn't give up the intimidation tactics, essentially winning the case with a little help from 75,000 XRP holders. Well, we salute you, John Deaton, and we thank you so much for everything you've done for the XRP community. I mean, Brad and Chris held strong. Could you imagine, guys, if Ripple had to close the company down and we were holding XRP just like the shareholders would have been holding XRP from that dissolved company? Wouldn't have been good. Certainly wouldn't have been as good. I mean, we do rely on Ripple quite a bit. Despite what people think, we're here for the money. We rely on Ripple's efforts in order to get XRP price up. I mean, XRP can rally on its own, but it was all about the partnerships. I have a feeling, I know. I mean, it was all about where Ripple was going in terms of, how they were structuring their partnerships and how that was going to eventually change the face of finance. We're lucky, at this moment that we can still get an XRP for such a cheap price. If you guys want to see where I'm purchasing XRP, again, you can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. The subscription is only $5, guys, $5 a month. Check it out if you want. If you're not interested in that, I also have the Working Money Channel merch store. If you guys want to help support the channel by purchasing some Working Money Channel merchandise, I'm offering 15% off until the end of the summer. So check that out. Every little bit counts, and I thank everybody who's been purchasing the merch. Thanks so much, guys. Again, link in the description of the video. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.